Hello, my name is Terry or KS. I do some articles for Red Riot Games, and today we are going to be going over their recording of an Annie versus E game. You can find their website at redriotgames.ca. They are a Canadian-based store, and today I have Stingy with me.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks for
super
coming.
excited to commentate, and I've been really interested in red decks like the removal ones like Kaisa and Annie, so it'll be really interesting to see this matchup.
Yeah, I love Kaisa. It's my personal favorite deck of the out of the 12 we saw so far. Um, Unfortunately, it does look
Okay.
like it is a little powered out by some of the other decks, but we have only had these set for about 4 days now, so
Mhm.
I'm very interested to see what will happen from here.
You
Um,
know, I was wondering where the name KS came from, so that's good to know.
it is actually not Kaisa, so a lot of people did think it was Kassadin back when I played League, but it's also not Kassadin. So just speed up a little bit past here. Any player is we are resolving mulligans.
Well, firstly, everyone or both players will get a point for Reckoner's Arena,
Yep,
which is
that technically it happens at the beginning of each their first beginning phase, but it is typically easier just to get it at the very beginning, just to avoid any confusion. So standard gameplay here, both players will be playing a 2-drop if they have them, which we do. So we have Poro from the E player and Merchant from the Annie player.
and the Annie player noticeably didn't have any Fury runes. Like maybe they would have used that Void Seeker in their hand if they did, but they didn't have that choice, which gave them a very easy turn one.
Yep, so now we have the Incinerate, and there's one with On Guard. If we did have the Void Seeker here available, this could not be an interaction since Void Seeker does do 4. So um, I'm interested to see if the Annie. We do have the Gust for the On Guard, which is still kind of good. It does remove the 4 Conquer, but now we can just we can just replay the 4 so not too much crazy there. I would like to see if this comes up later as far as the Fury runes to see if maybe we could change maybe to like a 7-5 Fury Chaos split. We are reading Star Tipped, very strong battlefield. I would imagine this merchant is coming to the Star Tip this turn. Does look like, ooh, we are thinking about falling starting this Boro. He says you can't on guard out of this.
I'm curious why you'd consider a Falling Star over a Void Seeker. Do you have any ideas?
Well, so he would have to wait on the Void Seeker since it only hits battlefield, but I do think that would be perfectly. I don't see what is our other card in hand. We have
I mean, with Falling Star, you're guaranteeing it's going to die, and as you mentioned, with Void Seeker, it has to be on the battlefield. So then the shield effect of the part will give it that +1.
so only on
Or
defense.
sorry, it wouldn't have the +1, yeah, because
Yeah,
it wouldn't be defending yet. My
only on defending. So I would have liked to see maybe this merchant move first to kind of solidify our turn and go from there. But I don't
Mhm.
hate what happened. We could have saved the falling star, but we can get it back with Annie later, so it's not a huge detriment. We do take the point lead, and I would imagine this part or this not this part this merchant is going to stick on this battlefield and give us a hold point.
One
If
thing
we
to mention though is the any player also had to use both of its red runes, so it is also low on its rune count and could not activate Void Seeker if it mattered.
true. Um, so we're just gonna play a clockwork, draw a card, play a Sona, draw or not draw a card, but and then so it does look like we get the rune from Star Tipped. We untap the rune from Star Tipped for some reason. This does come in exhausted. And we do get this, just a note, we do get the rune from Star Tipped before you get your runes for turn. It shouldn't matter. I don't think there's anything crazy that, since we can pay power with tapped runes, it shouldn't come up, but, you never know. So we do have a deckhand here, which is a very strong start. I probably would have liked to move this merchant back. Filtering merchant multiple times is always good, and we could also protect our merchant. Um, so we come into the merchant with the Sona. We do respond with Void Seeker, and we'll respond with Discipline. We will live the Void Seeker, but we will still trade with the merchant. So it does look like we're doing math here. We do take the
I
trade.
think getting that trade is still valuable for the any player though, because at the end of the day they're both drawing one off their respective spells.
Yep.
But the Sona is definitely a threat.
Yeah, we're trading our merchant for a Sona, which is always worth. And it's also kind of stifling the Yi's turn. This Charm is very good though, because we do trade, or not trade, we do successfully remove the deckhand, and we establish a wielder, so we are in a very good spot here. Annie does still have access to Champion Zone Annie plus Falling Star in trash now, which would remove both of these. Let's see what will happen. Here comes the Annie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chaos power. We haven't paid the power yet. 2. One of these had to be a red rune. And let's see if we catch the power thing. And so this Fury rune should be tapped, and we should have a Chaos rune untapped is what should happen. And it looks like we're catching this now. We're about to pay power cross. So we pay power here.
Yeah.
And then double red.
2 red.
Yep, and then we untap the Chaos. Yep. So we resolve that. And we will untap for Annie Legend and pass. Unfortunately, we do not have any Fury runes yet again. Again, I would like to, maybe change the rune ratio in this. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think this is one of the decks that probably doesn't want a 6/6 split. And then we have Poro plus Clockwork. Again, Clockwork drawing us a card. I love Clockwork. I think it's a very underrated unit.
Yeah, and that power cost is not that expensive for Yi. Like, Yi still had a very healthy rune amount.
Definitely. And we will conquer here, and it looks like we're probably just going to play an MF. It looks like we have 2 MFs in hand. MF being definitely a strong card. A little bit bigger of a deckhand. And then we will hide a card at the MFs. No, the Andy's battlefield. Okay. Hide a card at the start tilt.
So that could be Fight or Flight, maybe a Teemo. What else do you think it could be?
I don't think red has any hidden cards, does it? So we do put both units in.
I actually don't think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we do flip a Teemo, which is probably better than a Fight or Flight in this scenario, because this makes On Guard worse. If it was a Fight or Flight, we bump one back. We trade with On Guard, which he does have in hand. And it looks like we're thinking, man, we would need 2 pump spells to even trade with this combat. So
Preferably like a Primal Strength would clear it. Oh, and he does have the Primal Strength.
Very interesting. This is a really bad turn for Annie. I imagine we pump the Poro and the Keeper dies. Yep. Exactly what happens. So this was a pretty good turn by Yi. We do need to turn the corner. Unfortunately, Annie is going to 7 next turn, and then it's going to get kind of difficult. We'll buff this Poro. So now this Poro will be a 4 might if the Annie player somehow decides to go into it. And Yi still does have access to his champion in his zone, so he's not in a terrible spot here, honestly.
Yeah, champion Yi's a big threat. Not easy for Annie to out it, especially with the fact Annie has no cards, so that would make it quite hard to kill.
Yep, this game looks
and I imagine
good for the
Yi just plays the champion Yi and pushes it up into that misfortune, guaranteeing the conquer.
I would also imagine.
And then in that position you'd be holding both points, going to 7 theoretically on the next turn if he can keep one of them alive, and bringing the game to a tied position.
And it does look like he has Rune Prison and On Guard in hand. So,
he's in a very good spot here.
And then we have Rune Prison and On Guard with the Poro to protect it, and it really looks rough for the Annie. We would need inverted. Oh. Well, that's inverted off the top. So let's see what this inverted can get us into. Falling Star would be one of the only ways we win the game. And it looks like
and there's the Falling Star.
There's a Falling Star. There's a
This Annie player is really good.
Yeah, that is insanely skillful. And you know, if we gust this portal and the E player did not draw a pump spell, this might be game over. The
Or
portal comes back
notify
in.
either, looks like.
And do we have a pump spell to save the Yi? If we do, we stay in the game.
It, I
It
see two Poros of Rune. Wow.
oh, and it looks like that game will just be over if that's the case. And you can see the Andy player.
Yeah, and he takes in a very shocking turn of events.
Yeah, he is shaking his fist. He knows he probably should not have won that game, but you know,
I mean, those are the games that feel the best, though.
those games do feel insane. The inverted rip is a it's the rip of all time into the two cards you need to win the game. It's a good feeling, but it looks like we will be moving
Oh,
on.
I'm just noticing they have an Annie and Yi playmat, respectively.
Oh, that is cool. It looks like
Yeah,
Winter
Winter
Wonder,
Blast or Winter Winter.
Winter Wonderland Annie, I think, or it might be Winter Blast. And then I have no clue
I
what
actually don't remember
I
which
do
one's.
not know what this Yi skin is. I'm not gonna lie.
I actually don't recognize it. I used to play a lot of League a few years ago, but I think these are both newer skins. I don't recognize either.
I have actually been playing League more lately. I think once we do, after we finish this commentary, I think I might play some League, honestly. I
Yes, that's just some studying for Ripbound, so it's good
yeah.
use of time.
Ripbound has gotten me into League again, which is good.
Uh oh,
I love League. The community makes it kind of rough, but um,
that's funny. I was always the opposite, where I like the like playing League with people, but I like didn't actually enjoy the game itself. I just like hanging out.
uh, I typically play solo queues, so
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So we do have a portal start again. Do we have a two jump? It does. We do have a Legionnaire. We do have double incinerate. We
I
do.
think they had double incinerate last game too, so that's a pretty good start.
We are. Oh, we are accelerating the rear guard. This is interesting because we could hold up. We could have held up the. Oh no, I think I was thinking Follies. I thought he had a wood seeker, but
So I think pushing up the rear guard makes sense because it's harder for you to, attack than defend, and getting that +2 on defense himself puts you in a hard position to take that battlefield. And since the Annie scored first, as if they keep going back and forth of each holding a point for the rest of the game, then eventually Annie will win.
Yep, and we did have the discipline for the incinerate, which was kind of a bummer for the Annie player. We will main phase incinerate. This Poro force another pump spell or a defy, and it looks like this will resolve. Funny also to note, we are in double fortified position in this game, which is very E-figured. But their hand does look to be a little tight, a little high end.
Yeah, I see a Sona, Pit Rookie. Looks like, I guess, a second Sona in their hand.
The Sona Pit Rookie is buffing the Sona is very good. It does get out of a lot of ranges. Um,
It gets out of Void Seeker, most importantly.
it does not get out of Falling Star, which we do have in hand, but we do not
Mm-hmm.
have another Fury rune. It looks like we try to play it and we realize, coming back on that ratio, maybe we should down one chaos to up it for Fury. It does look like we might play a. Yep, we play the deckhand. This is slightly interesting. I think the MF might have been slightly better, just because it can't, due to the fortified, Sona just can't go into it. Um, Maybe moving the rear guard back as well, but then the pit rookie can get onto it, and it's just a little bit harder there.
Yeah, I think keeping the rear guard is good. Just getting points, and most importantly, making it harder for the player to get on that battlefield and stick to it.
Yeah, the double fortified definitely makes you have to play different than you are used to for sure. So we are sitting here thinking for a second. We're looking at we're eyeballing a gentleman's duel, we're playing the gentleman's duel, which would take our Sona up to 8. I imagine we trade with the. I actually don't think this trade matters. I think these are both vanilla units, kind of. They both accelerate.
Yeah,
The
both on the stage.
deckhand's probably, slightly better to kill, but with these decks, I don't think it matters. If you were playing a purple deck, and you had stuff like Gust, it's better to make them. I honestly think the units
I
are
mean,
gonna
what
just.
they could also play on Morbid Return, right?
Oh, they could. That
Like
is.
what? Yeah, so what would you rather they have in their trash? And I think Accelerate is a bigger threat than the open battlefield because he wants to be in a position where he's on the battlefields and therefore it's not an issue.
So we are looking at this fortified position for. This is only for shield, so if we do try removal spell the Sona, it will not work. But we are just going to pass. And.
And yeah, with that Sona end of turn, it gets 4 more mana back.
We do have a Falling Star for this Sona and a Darius to follow it up in case it does get buffed. We will Falling Star the Sona. Do we see the Discipline or the On Guard come out?
Oh wow.
We see a Primal Strength, which is an action card. So this is not a legal play here.
It's also a little telling where, if an On Guard would have worked and they chose to play the Primal Strength instead, you can assume they don't have the On Guard in hand.
True, because you would want to save the bigger spell.
Mm-hmm. For when you want that bigger impact.
Yeah, but to kind of iterate a little bit more on it, Falling Star is the leading the chain. So Primal Strength cannot be played since it is an action. You would have to play a reaction to the Falling Star. We do still have some options. Sona got pumped up to a 12, and it has 6 damage on it. And we have not enough to go into it here. So normally the Stars would be able to trade with it, but this is going to be a 16 might
Big
Sona.
Sona.
Yeah. Which is interesting because if we had another Fury Rune here, we could have played Annie and gotten the Falling Star back again to remove the Sona, but then you're spending 5 power to answer a Sona, which, has to feel favor for Yi. So let's see what happens here. We did play the Darius on the deckhand battlefield. Slightly interesting. I think this might be a little bit safer in base. Let's see if the Yi player can capitalize on that.
If I was the Annie, I'd probably assume I'm safe from another Primal Strength, although I think the Pit Rookie's or the deckhand's at 6, correct? So once again, one Discipline or On Guard would save it, but since the previous turn they Primal Strength and they only need 2 power, I would assume that it's Oh, actually, I keep forgetting the deckhands Annie's.
Yeah. The Yi player also doesn't have a body rune for another Primal Strength. So we are safe. It looks like we will Rune
That's a
Prison
good thing to
this
point out.
Darius. Stunning it. We're thinking. Oh, we moved Pit Ricky into it. We stun the Darius. I assume he fortified the Darius up to 7. And we're on guarding to kill the deckhand. It's kind of hard without audio on this, but this.
Hmm.
And then the Darius got bumped back.
Uh-huh.
This is not how stunned combat resolves. If both units end up living on the battlefield once a combat is resolved, whoever owned the battlefield controlled the battlefield when the combat happened would stay on the battlefield. So in this situation, the Pit Rookie would get bumped back and the Darius would stay on the battlefield. So just a note moving forward. So we should have actually went to 6 here with Pit Rookie in base. It does look like we are eyeballing this Annie grab Falling Star, so it wouldn't. Which kind of makes it a mute point because we can just put the Darius back up. Yi should be technically at 3 here. We will Falling Star this, and everything will die. And Yi passing with 6 up just isn't really.
Intimidating.
Yeah. So we do go to 6 here. Um, all is restored. We do still have the Sona, so this is still a winnable game by Yi. We do still have access to champion, which is what's going to happen. Now this Darius is on a fortified. Are we going to remember that?
I saw Clock Range. Did you see the other card?
I did Defy. So we will have Defy up.
I guess he's just at base.
He is at base. Um, which if any can play into this fortified, they can win. We do have a Void Seeker. We do have a. Is it a Vayne? It is a Vayne. So Vayne plus Annie will win depending on if he wants to call Yi's bluff. Yi also should have 4 more runes untapped, which might make the bluff a little bit scarier. We are reading.
Or should also be 6/6, as you mentioned, which does change things.
We are thinking on the Vayne. Which might have been reason to put the Yi on the battlefield as well. It does have ganking, so it could have come over into the Darius. But then you obviously expose your Yi, and that could be kind of a downside the following turn. We are thinking. Looks like we did remember the Sona trigger. So we did untap 4. Another Primal Strength would be horrible to play into here. So it looks like we are just kind of thinking. But also, if he has a Primal Strength, untapping with the Primal Strength would also be pretty deadly, allowing him to take the other Fortified with the Yi. So I imagine you just kind of have to play the Vayne into the Sona with the Annie and hope he doesn't have it. It does look like we are going to fortify this. He is a 6, goes to 13 off Primal Strength. Plus the. Okay, we're just going to fortify this and say, deal with me. Which that is a very hard thing to deal with. So let's see if the Yi player can.
I think making them play into you is a little safer.
It is. If we couldn't get out of range of the Primal Strength, I think taking the Vayne combat would be okay. But being able to go, what was this, 4, 8, 13, 15 with the fortified, and you would go to 13, right? 6 plus 7, 13, and then discipline trades